Sometimes in life, the pain is not because you failed. The pain is because you know you are meant for something bigger. This episode is not about quitting a job. It is about quitting confusion. It is about quitting comfort. It is about standing alone when no one truly understands your battle. This is the story of 2012, the year everything broke, and the year everything began. In 2012, my life took a dramatic turn. On the outside, I had a job. I had income. I had stability. At least that's what it looked like. But inside, I was frustrated, dejected, emotionally drained. I was stuck in non-IT roles that were slowly suffocating my career growth. Every morning felt heavy. Every evening felt incomplete. To make things worse, I was a victim of workplace politics, harassment, silent sidelining. People who joined with me were getting salary hikes, designation changes, more responsibilities, more recognition. And I lagged behind. Not because I wasn't hardworking. I was diligent.
Here I am.
I was sincere.
Alone,
but I was told, you are not passionate. You work hard, but not smart. Those words hurt because sometimes effort is invisible when strategy is missing. I had to accept something painful. It wasn't just politics. It wasn't just luck. I lacked focus. I lacked direction. And that realization burned more than the insults. I hated the stagnation. And I knew if I stayed here, I would slowly disappear. There comes a moment in life when staying feels safer, but slowly destroys you inside. We are taught that a job equals security, salary equals stability, routine equals responsibility. But what if that same stability becomes a silent prison? Quitting a job is never just about walking away from a company. It is walking away from predictability, from monthly income, from validation. And when you come from a middle-class family, that decision carries even more weight, because your choice does not affect only you. It affects your parents' peace, their sleep, their silent expectations. In moments like these, fear becomes louder than ambition. But sometimes, the real risk is not quitting. The real risk is spending years in a place where your potential slowly dies. And that was the crossroads I was standing at. The only way out for me was to quit. Not because I was brave, but because I was desperate. I had to forfeit stability. I had to let go of income. I had to prioritize career over comfort. At home, things were different. My mother was worried. She feared I had made the biggest mistake of my life. How can you quit a job without another in hand? Her fear was valid. My father, he never complained. He never questioned me, but he also never guided me. No instructions, no roadmap, no, do this next. And I don't say that as blame. I say it as truth. Sometimes parents love us deeply, but don't know how to guide us in modern battles. I needed direction, but I had to manage it alone. And that loneliness is something only career shifters understand. Dreams are beautiful. They give us hope. They give us escape. They give us identity. But a dream without clarity can become a dangerous illusion. It's easy to say, I want to enter IT. It sounds ambitious. It sounds progressive. It sounds powerful. But wanting something and preparing for it are two completely different battles. I had passion. I had obsession. I had curiosity. But I did not have direction. I didn't know what skills the industry demanded. I didn't know what problems companies were solving. I didn't know where to even begin. And when you walk toward a dream blindly, every step feels confusing. Sometimes we mistake movement for progress. But without clarity, movement is just motion. And I was about to realize that the hard way. Deep inside me, I always had an obsession with technology. Technology transforms businesses. It changes how systems operate. It improves processes. It creates efficiency. That fascinated me. And one technology stood out: SAP. I was deeply curious about it, but curiosity is not competence. I had interest, but no roadmap. I didn't know what skills were required, what path to take, what the industry really wanted. I was in a blind spot. No vision, no mission, just hope. I believed, if I take a course, everything will change. So I enrolled in a SAP Technical ABAP course. Without knowing the basics, without knowing what coding truly meant, I thought it would be manageable. I was wrong. Life has a way of exposing the gaps we try to ignore. Until that moment, I believed effort alone was enough. If I worked hard, if I stayed disciplined, things would fall into place. But the world of technology doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards skill, precision, problem solving. And when you step into a domain without foundational strength, reality hits hard, very hard. It humbles you. It strips away ego. It strips away assumptions. It forces you to confront the truth. Interest is not competence, and that realization is uncomfortable. But discomfort is not punishment. It is preparation. The only question is, will you run away from it, or will you grow through it? At that point in my life, I had to decide. I joined the SAP ABAP course, and very soon, reality hit me. I had to code, write programs, use logic, work with databases, understand syntax. I came from a non-IT background. In college, I studied to pass exams, not to master programming. There was no deep foundation, no real coding discipline. And now suddenly, I had to think like a developer. Everything was overwhelming. Errors everywhere. Syntax mistakes. Logic failures. But this time, I didn't want to run. I pushed hard. I practiced. I rewrote code. I struggled silently. And something interesting happened. The more I struggled, the less scared I became.
No worries.
1 month after finishing the course, I cracked an interview through a consultancy for a client, Deloitte. It felt unreal. There was even an opportunity to become a permanent employee if I performed well. For someone who was lost months ago, this felt like destiny opening a door. But destiny tests you before rewarding you. The first opportunity in a new field is never what you imagine. We think it will be gradual. We think someone will guide us step by step. We think there will be patience. But the real world moves fast, very fast, especially in technology. When you enter IT, you are not paid to learn slowly. You are paid to deliver value, to solve problems, to build systems, to understand business logic. And when you are not fully prepared, every task feels like a test. Every deadline feels like judgment, and every mistake feels bigger than it actually is. The pressure doesn't just come from managers. It comes from comparison, from seeing others perform better, from watching peers move ahead confidently. And that pressure can either shape you or shake you. I was about to feel that weight intensely. My first IT job did not feel like achievement. It felt like burden. I imagined coding small things, learning gradually. Instead, I had to understand business requirements, translate them into technical logic, build solutions, deliver applications. I had just started coding, and suddenly I was expected to solve business problems. It was too hot to handle. Others who joined with me, they were coding confidently, efficiently, comfortably. And I was staring at my screen, frozen, looking for help. Failure hurts, but isolation hurts deeper. When you struggle alone in silence, your mind becomes your biggest critic. You start replaying every mistake, every hesitation, every weakness. And when the people around you respond with distance instead of support, self-doubt grows louder. Workplace rejection is not just professional, it becomes personal. You begin questioning your intelligence, your worth, your belonging. Loneliness has a way of magnifying fear, especially when you are in a new city, a new industry, a new identity. In those moments, it feels like the world is moving forward and you are frozen in place. But what we often forget is this: isolation can either break you or build self-awareness. And I was standing at that emotional edge. I approached a colleague for help. His response? "If you cannot code, why are you here?" That sentence pierced deeper than any technical failure. I noticed something else. At the hostel, he maintained distance from me. During breakfast, lunch, dinner, he paired up with others. I was left alone. Alone professionally. Alone socially. And when you are new, that loneliness multiplies self-doubt. I began thinking, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe IT is not for me. Maybe I made a mistake quitting my old job. Unable to accept everything, I decided to move away from that job. Again, no plan, no clarity, just exhaustion. There is a dangerous story we sometimes tell ourselves. That's just my fate. This is how my life is structured. It feels easier to blame destiny, to blame other people, because accepting responsibility requires courage. It requires admitting that maybe we lacked direction, maybe we lacked clarity, maybe we lacked preparation. But here's the powerful truth. When you accept responsibility, you also reclaim control. If the problem is external, you are helpless. But if the problem is internal, you can fix it. That shift in thinking changes everything. It transforms victimhood into strategy. And that was the moment my mindset slowly began to evolve, not through success, but through realization. I started blaming destiny, blaming misfortune, believing life was designed for my failure. But slowly, something changed. I realized it wasn't destiny, it wasn't politics, it wasn't colleagues, it was direction. I lacked clarity on what industry wants, clarity on what to master, clarity on how to build real value. The IT industry doesn't reward interest. It rewards problem solving, product building, deep specialization, communication, resilience. I needed to learn what industry demands, master my area, SAP or Oracle, improve disaster handling, improve communication, build applications, think in solutions. This was not about survival anymore. This was about reinvention. Sometimes, what we call our biggest failure is not the end of our story. It is the moment our illusion breaks. It is the moment we are forced to see ourselves without excuses, without blame, without shortcuts. Failure has a strange way of waking us up. It removes comfort. It removes ego. It removes the false confidence we built on incomplete preparation. And in that discomfort, we begin to see clearly, not who the world is, but who we are. Sometimes the opportunity we lost was never meant to reward us. It was meant to reveal us. And sometimes, the second chance doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't arrive with applause. It comes quietly, as clarity, as strategy, as responsibility. The second chance is not about trying again emotionally. It is about trying again intelligently, with awareness, with direction, with maturity. Because when you awaken from your first failure, you no longer chase dreams blindly. You build them deliberately. And that is where the real beginning starts. This time, I didn't want to repeat the same pattern. I didn't want another emotional decision, another impulsive move, another reaction born out of frustration. I had already tried that, and it had cost me clarity. So this time, I chose something different. Not emotional, not impulsive, not reactive, strategic. For the first time, I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And I started asking, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of running from my misfortunes, I studied them. Every rejection, every insult, every moment of isolation. They were not curses. They were data points, signals, indicators of what I lacked. Direction, depth, discipline, positioning. And once I saw that clearly, something shifted. I took a chance, not on luck, not on sympathy, not on external validation, but on preparation, on skill building, on understanding what the industry truly wanted, on mastering rather than merely attempting. And that single decision changed everything. It changed my outlook from victim to strategist. It changed my belief from doubt to deliberate confidence. It changed my status from confused entrant to focused professional. It changed my confidence, not because the world applauded me, but because I finally understood myself. Transformation doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly. in the moments when you decide to take responsibility for your own direction. But that transformation, that rebuilding phase, that disciplined reinvention, deserves its own story. And we will uncover that journey, step by step, in Episode 3